in South Louisiana. Anyone who's got allergies, take this.
NAD is probably the biggest thing coming out right now on anti-aging. Normally, like when we're tight in here and you start getting that pressure and you're taking those joints and muscles through full range, this one feels almost addicting.
So consistency over intensity. And then we're just going to roll up and down. It seems crazy, but when you go get massages and they're finding tightness in here, the first thing you need to do is start releasing this stuff. Kelly, thank you. You did the exercises last week and it helped a lot.
Good evening, my friends. How are y'all? Thank you for joining me on this nice evening. I'm laughing because my staff was giving me a hard time. Apparently, I start all of my things with "Good evening, friends," or "Hey, friends, what's going on?" But that's what we're doing, right? We're having a conversation with friends, talking a little bit about health, answering some questions. Thank you for joining me. I hope you're on the right path with health and everything's kind of going your way. You can text questions to me specifically. I know a lot of people say this these days, but it's a lot easier form of communication sometimes. I am not the best with email, but if you text 801-691-7582, that actually comes straight to me, and I can answer questions within reason, right? If you ask me like, what's the secret to health? That might be not the best format for me to answer that question, but that's what we're here for. So if you do have any questions or anything, drop them below. I'll answer as much as I can. I know we had a few people who sent some questions in early, so we'll get to some of those. I am drinking, what am I drinking tonight? I'm drinking pine needle tea. And this came across my agenda. Hey, Kristen, how are you? I hope you're doing awesome. I hope you're feeling a lot better. Pine needle tea came across my radar in some studies where it showed that pine needle tea was really helpful, was very healthy. And I was like, as a tea snob, I have never had pine needle tea, so I'm drinking it out of my Zen cup. If you drink tea, you need one of these cups. I love it. It's got like a little steeper that sits in here. This is my favorite cup, and they're just beautiful. It's like very nice, got like a wooden handle. So that's my tea spill for you. Get some pine needle tea. Supposedly helps with inflammation, helps with all kinds of health benefits in terms of relaxation and mental health. So we'll see. I'll let you know. But it's very tasty. Kind of has like a little refreshing taste to it, especially for something in the evening. You're trying to calm down. You don't want anything with caffeine. Pine needle tea seems to be one of the good ones. So we'll dive into some questions. Welcome. If y'all have questions, we just did an awesome fasting workshop. I'm going to give a shout out at the top of this. Dr. Chloe Hammett, one of our doctors on staff, hosted a fasting workshop this past weekend. Knocked it out of the park, did an amazing job. I learned a lot. I left with a lot of notes on fasting for women. So if that's something that you are interested in, how does fasting kind of change if you're a woman? That was not in my wheelhouse before this. And so I'm glad I was there. But so we did get a bunch of comments and questions on fasting. We've been talking a lot about that starting the year. And I think, with Lent coming up in this area, a lot of people are starting to change things about diet, about health. Maybe they're giving some things up, and doing a fasting program might be a good jump start to that. Hossein, I hope I'm saying that correctly. Does fasting mimicking really help with chronic inflammation? This is definitely something that we went through in the workshop. And when you look at fasting mimicking, I'm going to answer a few questions just so y'all know what I'm talking about. So fasting mimicking is based off the research of Dr. Walter Longo, who is, I believe, still with USC in California. So what he figured out is what is the exact line of nutrients that can feed your body, feed your muscles, keep hormone balance there, but not kick you out of fasting state. So you get all the good, maybe less of the challenge or less of the negatives when it comes to fasting. So it mimics fasting. And what does that do for chronic inflammation? when we look at chronic inflammation, oftentimes this is measured on like a C-reactive protein test. That's a very easy test that you can do. It's gotten much more accessible. It's much cheaper these days. So if we're looking at something like that, when you go into fasting state or fasting mimicking state for this example, you will reduce the amount of food that your body's taking in. So it's got to go find food somewhere, and it turns inward to go and eat the food that you have in there. Our body's really smart about this. It's going to go and find these inflammatory cells, these precancerous cells, these damaged DNA cells, and eat those first. This is why it's so powerful. When you get into that autophagy phase where your body's trying to go and scavenge whatever little damaged cells you have in here for food, it does a lot of really good things. So this is where it comes into play for chronic inflammation. It will clear out a lot of these inflammatory cells. His research shows that we reduce inflammation significantly, up to 50% in terms of C-reactive protein measurements. We've seen patients improve C-reactive protein levels from quite high above normal, 6 to 7, even higher, and bring those all the way back down to like a 1 or a 2, doing 3 rounds of a fasting mimicking program. Those are like 5 days of you eating basically what comes in his box. So you're eating breakfast, lunch, dinner, you get a snack. It's a really easy thing to follow. We've had, I think, over 500 people do this in South Louisiana, and everyone's been able to complete it. So it's doable for sure. It definitely will change inflammation. Everybody who does it notices this. By the time you get to day 3, you're like, I feel lighter. I feel inflammation has decreased and reduced significantly throughout my body, throughout my gut, nervous system. All of that just feels much less inflamed. So it does really help with it. The research has been done over and over again that doing a fasting mimicking program will speed your reduction and clearing of inflammation. I think you should do it periodically because we're going to accumulate that stuff. So perhaps you're doing this once a quarter. If you notice you're in an inflamed state, then you're probably bringing it back into your life. So hopefully that helps, Hussein. Let me know if you have any questions or anything to follow up on that, by all means. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining me. I'm glad that y'all are here. If you have any questions, let me know. We'll dive into this stuff. Sharif, is water only fasting better than fasting mimicking program? It's a great question. So a lot of times when we're using fasting mimicking versus water only, the reason we're doing fasting mimicking over a water only is because you do get to eat the whole time. That's not a small thing. Being able to eat day in and day out over the 5 days and get all the benefits is huge. It's a very easy thing for me to do at this point. I've done a bunch of them, but to have something for lunch and something for dinner, it's a really powerful thing to be able to do this program regularly. And I think if you were just doing water only, it'd be much more challenging. Another really important reason that we do fasting mimicking over water only is maintaining hormone balance over that week is really helpful, and not losing muscle mass is so important. I never want my patients over 50 to be losing muscle mass. We're fighting to hold all the muscle that we can. And so I don't really want them to lose 3 pounds of muscle over a 5-day period. Some research says that just comes right back on. Whether that's the case or not, I would rather you not lose muscle mass. So in almost all of our patients, I would say, let's get almost all of the benefit and none of the downside of going into fasting state. So I think, to be completely honest, that a fasting mimicking protocol is actually better than a water only protocol in most cases. I could be challenged on that if somebody would like to try, but I think for most people who are actively using fasting to heal, you're probably going to get more out of doing a fasting mimicking program more regularly than doing a water only, once or twice a year. From the health benefit side, sure, mental and spiritual, there's some different things from the water only side, but from health and healing, fasting, mimicking gets the edge from me. So there you go. All right. Keep on rolling. Drop me any questions, any comments, say hi. I'm glad y'all are here. We're going to try and make this much more regular. So, every last Tuesday of the month, we'll jump on 6 o'clock, answer whatever questions, tell your friends, tell your mom, tell your cousin, bring them all. Islands Diary. I'm giving that a shot. So reversing aging would mean making an old organism young again. Is it possible? We'll start there. What supplements or activity? So is it possible to make an old organism young again? So that's true age reversal. My answer would be yes right now, is that you can absolutely reverse the age of an organism. And the reason I say that is I've seen it. I think you should test this when you're talking about age reversal. So we do something called Novos testing that is basically the most up-to-date biological age testing that tests your telomeres. It uses the Dunedin Pace Scale, so it scientifically validated aging algorithm of how old are you. And so what we can do is get a baseline for how old you are biologically. So we might look at this and you say your chronological age is 67, but your biological age is 70 right now, based on all of the metrics that we have. And then start changing your health parameters, change what you eat, change how you move, change what you're taking, change the activities you're doing, change how you sleep, massive. And in that situation, over a 6-month period, I've seen people reverse the age from 70 to 68 to 65. So absolutely, I think through current testing that we have, you will absolutely see age reversal being possible. When we look at what is involved in that, what things help reverse aging, I think it's helpful to know what things accelerate aging in that situation. So if you're talking about things that speed aging up, it's going to be inflammation for sure. Inflammation definitely speeds aging. It alters cell health and damages DNA. So keeping inflammation under control is vital to reversing age. Weight management is very big, and metabolism. Also, maintaining good metabolic health is just massive for maintaining good biological age or reversing that. So when we look at the compounds that can help with this, NAD is a really big one. When you look at some of the organism studies, NAD is something that the more NAD we have, the healthier our cells are. The healthier our cells are, the better we are in terms of biological age. There's another one called pterostilbene. A lot of people have talked about resveratrol. Resveratrol is helpful. I think pterostilbene is better. And in those situations, if you've given that to certain organisms, this is not super well done in humans yet. Would love to see more research, but it could reverse the aging in animal models to a significant degree. And so, we can't always take that into humans, but we know it's a very potent antioxidant. We know that it helps a lot in terms of improving cell health. So pterostilbene is another supplement that can be really, really valuable. Magnesium is a very easy one. Magnesium has climbed the ranks for me over the years. Magnesium seems to be really important for brain health, seems to be really important for muscle and physical health, nervous system health. So there's some studies that show adequate levels of magnesium could reverse aging as well in certain models. So, get tested if you're and in fact, I think we threw a comment in, or we will throw a comment in. You can get to the Novos testing on our site and actually just test your age. What is your biological age? And then you have an idea, how aggressively do I need to attack this? If you are, 30 and your biological age is coming back as 35 or 40, And you know, like we can test in the Novos test, it tells us your rate of aging. So if you're aging faster than the chronological year, we need to really get after this. We need to start adding in some of these supplements. We definitely need to change diet and exercise routine. You need to get inflammation under control. You might start changing some of the activity around your life to get inflammation and cell health up, because you're in a bad place and you really have some time to change it. This is why I like testing it. I was so excited whenever we were talking about Novos, because it's like you can actually see how fast am I aging? What is my current biological age compared to chronological age? How aggressively do I need to attack this going forward? So yeah, absolutely. We've seen it. We've seen patients reverse aging significantly over short periods of time. And, you know, that's kind of a full scale approach, though. I'm not saying there's one supplement. That's changing diet. That's changing sleep, daily activity. Yes, some supplements do help, but you're going to do a full approach if you're trying to get aging under control. So great question. Check out Novos, though. Check out some of the testing stuff there, and you'll see all the things that we can measure right now. So hope that helps. What else we got? What questions y'all have for me? Y'all have any health questions? Everybody's just like rock and rolling. Y'all all healthy. Everybody's doing great. Let's see. Bonnie, how can you use fasting to change your A1C if you have diabetes? This is something we talked a lot about in the seminar over the weekend, is some of the research that's come out on diabetes with the fasting mimicking program. So this is Valter Longo's group. And when you look at what they've done for people with diabetes, most of this is a bigger program. So I think the study that initially came out was a proof of concept study where they had people do 5 days of fasting mimicking program. So they are eating again for 5 days, the first 5 days of the month. And they did that 6 months in a row. So they do 5 days of fasting mimicking, go back to their normal diet. Next month, first 5 days, fasting mimicking, go back to their normal diet. When they did that, at the end of the study, what they found was they reduced their A1C by just about a third. So just about 30%, if I remember correctly. These were people who were already in active diabetic state. I think the starting point was like their A1C was in the 8s, if I remember the study correctly. And they brought those almost all the way down into pre-diabetes state. I don't think they quite got there, but they did reduce their A1C by almost a third in that 6-month trial. So there has been some follow-ups to that where they're doing this to a longer degree. I think if you're dealing with diabetes, that it's really important for you to be working with a practitioner and measuring stuff, because we are having to change a lot. And diabetes is something people talk about a little bit kind of flippantly. But if you're doing something like this, have a practitioner. Don't do this, go it alone. Make sure you're working with somebody who's measuring your levels, and you're meeting with every day and talking about how you feel. But it's a super exciting study and super exciting field, because this is one of the first times we've been able to see that you can truly change diabetes. And, they won't say this, but I will. You can come pretty close to healing diabetes if you go through this program. So really exciting. I love the research that's coming out on it. I think if you have diabetes, find somebody who is well-versed in kind of the fasting mimicking world, and start to work with them on, bringing this into your life, because it's beating out medication in a lot of ways and can get people off of medication. The benefits are just endless to where this can go. So I'm excited to see the body of research over the next year, and stay tuned. We've got some follow-up conversations with the whole L-Nutra family and Prolon family. Some of the main scientists will be circling back into our world. So great question, Bonnie. Let's see what we got. Anybody? Maxwell. If y'all have questions, welcome. I hope y'all are here. Y'all are taking notes, doing something good, join me on a nice little, I don't even know what today is, Tuesday evening. Let's see, Maxwell. What's the best exercise for preventing low back pain? If y'all are long-term followers, bear with us. This question probably pops up a lot, but the McGill Big Three, Maxwell. If you look up McGill, McGill, if I remember correctly, Big Three, they will show you what that is. It's a bird dog that you hold at the top and really try and strengthen your core stabilizers. An abdominal curl up, so kind of like an ab crunch, but it's a little bit different, and a side plank. And if you do those 3 exercises every day, your back will be more stable, your core will be more stable, and you'll have less back pain. This works. It's so easy. Go through them, really try and get better at doing the exercises every day. And you'll notice that like your spine, your discs, everything is healthier for doing that. So Google McGill Big Three. We can drop that in the comments. And I think you'll do really well with it. I've seen patients just knock that out of the park in terms of starting to bring that into their life. So hopefully that helps. Let me know if you have questions, you need videos on any of that stuff, but very, very helpful exercise. JS Sanger. Okay, let's see. I have neck pain on one side of my neck into my shoulder. Could that be coming from a disc or from somewhere else? This is a really good question. I think a lot of people, we hear so much about disc injuries that if we have any pain at all, we're like, oh, it's my disc. I've got a damaged disc and it's causing that pain. We don't discount that. And here's what I would say to this is make sure if you think it's disc that you get into a practitioner that's going to put their hands on you. They're going to load and unload and test that disc to see if that's what increases or decreases your pain. Really helpful to look at. Now, it's possible. I wonder if I can share this with you. It's definitely possible that we do have pain that comes from a disc and doesn't go all the way down the arm. There's studies that are years and years old that showed if they stimulated the outside of your disc that it would cause pain like just in the neck or just in the upper back or just in the shoulder. I'm going to try this. Bear with me 2 seconds, folks. Hey, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to drop this real quick. Okay, so if you're looking at this, basically what you could see is that if you stimulate just the outside of the disc, that you would get some pain radiating just to the side if it's at C3-4. If it was at C5-6, you would see that some pain radiates almost down into the shoulder right there. And if it was even lower than that, C6-7, you would see that coming down almost into the upper back. So with that, it's possible that pain coming into like this area is what is coming from a disc, coming from a lateral disc bulge. Certainly is possible. And the way we would do that is load the disc, cause that bulge to push out a little bit. Does it refer pain into that area? There's a lot in here. The muscles that come from your neck and come down and attach into the shoulder. You've got your levator scap. You've got a number of paraspinal muscles that run straight from the neck into the upper back. Obviously, our upper trap comes in. We have all our scalenes that come in attached to the ribs. If those are just tight and irritated, they can definitely refer pain from the neck into the shoulder. So it's very likely that it's coming from just like a muscle being tight and strained and irritated, and it's not coming from an actual disc bulge. But if you're concerned about it, just get it checked out. And look, I'm going to say the disclaimer, you're not your image here. I've had patients who we see on an MRI that they have a disc bulge in their neck. And when we test them and we actually get our hands on them and go through and load the disc and unload the disc, that's not where their pain's coming from. Even though we see it on an image, if we don't come behind and test it, we don't know where your pain's coming from. So don't just treat the image. If somebody just looks at your MRI and says, yep, there's a disc bulge, that's where your pain is coming from, get another opinion. You've got to get these tissues loaded, because I've seen it so many times. The disc is there, we load it, we unload it, no change in pain. We start palpating, we start testing muscles, and we've actually got a myofascial pain syndrome. The muscle is causing pain, has nothing to do with the disc, and you treat the muscle, pain completely goes away, and they are completely healthy. Just because you've had it on an image that there's some disc there doesn't mean that's where it's coming from, but it could. It could refer. I don't want to say it can't. The studies show that it definitely could cause some of these referral patterns. A lot of times, if it's coming there, I would say occasionally you might get some pain that comes all the way out into the hand. I would say that's more often than not. If it never goes out into the hand, then we start really looking at kind of myofascial pain syndrome with that. So hopefully that helps. If you've got some nerves about it, get checked out. I think it would be quite helpful to get somebody to get their hands on you and do some testing and figure all of that stuff out. So hopefully that helps everybody. I am running out of time, but we've got some really exciting things coming up. Stay tuned, pay attention. The last Tuesday of every month, I'm going to do this. So make a note, put it in your calendar. If you got questions, shoot them in to me, shoot a text message in, shoot me an email, anything like that. And we'll definitely cover it and get there. We're going to launch a new season of the Pain and Performance podcast coming up. So we've taken a little break and we've been talking to some really great people, and we're really excited of what we've got coming up with that. So do stay tuned to the Pain and Performance podcast. Go subscribe if you're not subscribed, so that you get all of the upcoming episodes. And remember, just do that one little thing to get healthier today. That one little activity can create massive ripple effects in your life. So I hope everybody has a great evening. Get some good sleep and rest, and I'll see y'all next month.